Well, in my last video, I talked about the golden era, the coming golden era. Well, it's going to be coming because at some point, the collective will go into a great awakening, a mass awakening. I'm going to talk about those statements in the Bible that some will disappear. Someone will wake up and somebody will be missing. Somebody will be out in the field and they'll be missing. That's actually happened here. I don't know if you've heard about this. People just completely disappearing. I want to talk about that because I'm going to give you 4 things that you can do that is absolutely necessary. This isn't just a choice. It's necessary as a choice to go into the Great Awakening. You can do this. It's not that easy. We do cling to that ego that likes to control, have answers, and be right all the time. But you can do this. I'm going to show you how in this video. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to Leandria Anca on YouTube, here to help you break through those fears and live an amazing life. Are you ready to go into a mass awakening? It feels really great when you go into this space where you just don't get bothered by things. You know, other people will say things to you like, oh, you're upset, or you're feeling this, and you're thinking, no, I'm not. Because that's where they're coming from. And so the ego believes that everybody else is feeling and thinking certain things according to their judgment or what they believe is happening. It's a story we tell ourselves, just a story. And you can change the story. So I'm going to talk about why people will actually disappear. No, aliens aren't going to come get them. They have their own thing going on. They're just observing us. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. What are the steps? All right, we're going to go into the first one, and that is you must change the story. Okay, so let's put aside everything else. If you are in anxiety, negativity, separation, if there's any negativity at all, any chatter at all, you must change that story. Because you cannot go into awakening if you have a story running that creates any kind of stress, anxiety, because it means that you're believing that everything out there somehow affects and controls you, versus you creating that, actually stepping into a new reality. So you have to change that story. And what is that story? Well, we're going to take this next step, detachment. Detachment. So in order to change the story, you have to be detached from what's going on, because if something's bothering you and the ego says this shouldn't be happening, or they shouldn't be doing this, or they're the problem, when you go into detachment, you no longer have a ego-based thought about that event, that person. You're detached from the stories and the beliefs that cause the conflict and separation. Detachment also means detaching from everything. Relationships, physical things, your own body, material things, detachment. So this is why people fear death. They're attached to their bodies. They're attached to what's going on out there, the physical world. It causes anxiety because they feel like they're losing something, and you're never losing anything. Detachment is very difficult for most people because the ego believes that what this is real, not an experience and a testing ground, a training ground, a master class for us. That's the other story, the story that you can step into that sees it differently. What's that third step? Giving. So when you change the story and then you detach, you actually don't have a story anymore. And if thoughts come in, you say, well, okay, wow, all right, this is another opportunity for me to learn from this, because your whole assignment here is to go into that space of total enlightenment. It's euphoria. It's total euphoria. And you can live it here now. All right? So when you give, you are now functioning as service to other, which is you. When you detach, you understand that everything's one thing. So then you're giving actually to the essence of yourself, the energy field of you. And when that improves and that it receives love and that receives compassion, no matter what it does, it goes into a higher frequency. It has a choice to do that. All right? You might say, no, it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. Eventually it will. But you then offer that pathway to another density energy field to make a different choice, because now it knows love. Now it knows compassion no matter what it's done. These things you shall do and more, and everyone's forgiven because they never really do anything wrong in the first place. They're here experiencing the density of humanity to know itself. You cannot know, if you're a fish, what air is. I could describe it to you. We could be underwater and never know air, oxygen, never know that it could kill us, or what it is, or why it's there, until somebody pulls you out of the water. And now all of a sudden you know what oxygen is. Oh, there's something different than water. What's the last thing? Number 4. This is a biggie. Surrender. And this is why people who go into the dark night of the soul go into surrender, and they go completely into enlightenment. Now let's talk about what happens when we do that. There are different dimensions that we'll start to, let's just say, we will start to shift more and more into. So you can go into a total state of enlightenment right now and be walking around with people. You can actually expand outside of your body. I've done this before many, many times. I know that experience. I'm standing here, people see me, yet I'm actually aware that I'm in the space of the room. I see things differently. I visually see things differently. I experience my energy much more expansive outside of my body. I'm aware of the body, but I'm almost like not even talking anymore. It's difficult to talk because I'm out here. I expand into this field. There's no fear there. So what happens is, when we go into this mass awakening, it becomes more powerful, because the one isn't just one person, it's 2 and 3, and now the one mass awakening becomes more and more powerful, right? The more people that come in for prayer, the more powerful it is, because it is a tipping point of the collective. It's the one. So what happens? We will go into a state where people will be here, but they will be in such a high frequency that they actually won't appear as bodies anymore. Now, we're nowhere near that right now, but it is possible, and it may have been happening, and certain people just all of a sudden walk into a field and disappear. I've heard stories like this. Well, they could be stepping into another dimension. It may not just be that they've gone into a super awakened state, but they have stepped into a dimension, because those all exist here right now. There are portals, there are different things going on at the same time as one entity that we can actually step into, but we're playing this out. These things all interact. So if we went into a super high dimension, we would exist completely different than we do right now. We'd have capabilities that are pretty awesome. And a lot of people do that now. You will find that you will be more intuitive. You will know certain things. And you'll know also, if you have psychic abilities at this point, you start to know that you just are connected. You know that those things are fluid. They can change. Why warn somebody if their things are in stone? Because they can change it, right? That's why we go to psychics. We want to know if we can change it. So I shared with you in the last video that somebody said, why did you move to Florida? All psychics say. And I'm like, psychics? I mean, come on, let's be serious. You know, they don't predict my future. And also, it can change. Now, I chose this for a reason. I never had any intentions of moving to Florida, just because it just wasn't my thing. But something led me here, and I'm not going to live my life in fear. So you have to go with what you know is right, and it's been an amazing, wonderful choice for me. We have hurricanes here. We're going to have all kinds of events happening on the planet. The systems will collapse. They're dissolving right now. When you cling and you're attached to these, you will go into a state of anxiety and struggle. That's the letting go of all of that, those steps. That's a story that you're telling yourself that that's wrong, or it's not okay, or that you're not going to be okay. You're always going to be okay. It's impossible for you to not be okay. You are one golden perfect light. You always were, you always will be. You are not separate from the one. You have the capabilities to do anything. You're limitless, and you chose limitations, perceived limitations. So play it out. You don't have to remain in this state of being, but you cannot progress to the other state of being, of total freedom and love, and it's just the most amazing feeling. If you are attached, if you're telling stories, you know, the ego thinks it knows everything. I know what you're thinking and feeling, and sometimes people say that to me. I'm like, that didn't even cross my mind. Oh, you must be in anxiety. And no. But chances are pretty good they are. And they're still experiencing that, so they assume everybody else is. So when you go into that state, you'll see things very different, and you're going to hear people talk, and you realize, wow, they are in water. They don't know about oxygen thing. The ego wants to correct people. So, no, you don't have to be a rug, and you're allowed your opinion, but it doesn't mean that what you say is reality for everyone. So you have to detach from that and know that you can believe something, and you may believe something completely different. If you've ever followed Dolores Cannon, you know I'm actually a quantum healing hypnosis technique hypnotist. I was trained by her, and we take people into some really amazing spaces. But if you have followed her and read her books, they're really out there. You will see that she has changed her mind about how things are through the years. She did this for over 45 years. And she took people into hypnosis, into this other space where they were accessing information. They went into past lives, and when I work with people, they do the same thing. But you have to get out of the way, and a lot of people can't get out of the way of their own perfect being that's right here. So it's not something you need to get to or obtain or attract. It's all right here. All of it is. I hope that you will subscribe to my channel and share these. It's important for people to know that there's nothing to obtain, nothing to chase or attract, nothing to manifest, because they're always manifesting. All you have to do is change the story, right? Let go, detach, give. Focus on the giving. How can I be of service? Because that's me out there. And when I contribute to the collective, we will go into a great awakening. The golden era exists right now. We just have to choose it. And it could be amazing. And we're going to do some pretty cool stuff. These are free. I'm going to announce some things coming up about how you can actually participate in your own property, piece of land, creating self-sustainable life. Yeah, and you don't have to be wealthy to do it. Actually produce income in a very giving, wonderful way. Communities without going off-grid or creating communes or anything like that. I've got something real special coming up. I also have some internet training of my own coming out that's focused more on sustainable businesses. If you want to learn how to create an online business, these are free videos that will tell you about some training and how it all works. How do people make money online? And you can do some amazing things that way. And it will allow you, if you don't go off-grid. Off-grid means you don't even have internet or cell phone service, by the way. I don't know about you, but that makes no sense for me, at least right now. So technology, just like money or anything else, is not evil. It's what you do with it. You have a voice. You can use it for good or bad. Not that there is good or bad. So you are whole and perfect, strong and powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. Blessings to you, my friend. I'll see you in the next video. Namaste.